everyone, and welcome back. If this is your first time, I hope you'll stay. Espero que te quedes. So, today I want to look at stem changing or root changing verbs with you. Now, a lot of you would have, if you've just started Spanish, you would have seen how we change verbs, or we change the ending, the AR, the IR, or the ER. But this lesson is about you changing the part that comes before the AR, ER, or IR. Okay? And before I get into it, I would like to go over the present tense, the subjects, and the endings for each ending that you have in Spanish. Okay, so quickly, so this table here, which you should be quite familiar with, I'll just go over it quickly. You have yo, tú, él y ella, nosotros, vosotros, ellos o ellas. So it's I, you, he or she, we, you plural, and they. So if the verb ends in AR in Spanish, to conjugate it, to make it make sense, we take off the AR and we'd add, if you're talking about the first person, which is I, you'd add an O. So for example, puedo, you would add an O to the end, okay? If it's, we're doing AR, aren't we? So you take off the AR, amar, for example, is the AR ending. You would take off the AR and you'd be left with am. Amo, you put the O on the ending, okay, on the root. So amo, amas, ama, amamos, amais, aman, okay? For the ER, you take off the ER and you add O, S, O, E, hemos, es, o, en. Now there's an IR, the same thing, you add. You take off the IR and you'd add O, or S, or E, or imos, or is, don't forget your accents, or N. So in vosotros, if you notice, there is an accent, okay? There's an accent on the first vowel. Try and remember that, because sometimes we're writing and we do forget that. So remember this table in your head when it's time to conjugate, and remember the endings, so you remember what the appropriate ending is for each verb. Right, that being said, okay, so stem changing verbs. 3 types we're going to look at. The 3 types. So words that have an E, but we change the E to IE. Then you have words that have O, but you change the O when you conjugate it to UE. Then you have verbs that have an E in it, but we change the A for an I when we're conjugating. Okay? So the first example I'm going to give you is poder. So it's a ER verb, and it falls under, well, it's an O, isn't it? It's an O, so it's this one. So it changes to UE. So for poder, logically, if you didn't know that, the logical way would be to say puedo, for I can. But we know that a change happens here. So this change the O, we take away the O, and we add UE. So it becomes puedo, I can, instead of puedo. That makes no sense. So, puedo, I can. Puedes, you can. Puede, he or she can. But be careful. In the we, nosotros, and the you plural, so you lot, that doesn't change. The O would remain the same. And this is for all of the verbs. Okay? When you are looking at the stem changing verbs, it never changes in the us form. So in the we form, which is nosotros, it doesn't change. It also doesn't change for the vosotros, so the you plural form. You know, you lot can do anything. Podéis hacer lo que sea, okay? That doesn't change either. So that's why I put a star here, so you remember that nosotros and vosotros form, it doesn't change. So there isn't a change in the O. It still stays as the O. It does not convert to UE. Okay? And then again, ellos, which is they, pueden. Okay? So the only two which remains the same are the two that sounds the same. Nosotros y vosotros. See, they sound similar. So that you know, we don't touch the stem. Okay? We don't touch the root. Stays the same. The O remains an O. Okay? So have a look at that. Okay? Right. So now for pedir, obviously pedir is an E and we change it to an I. Okay, so this is one of the changes that we will look at. Verbs that have an E but will change the E to an I when we convert it. So pedir, P-E-D-I-R, we would change the E to an I so it becomes pido instead of pedo. If you say pedo, it would just mean you passing wind, and we don't want to say pedo. We don't want to say wind, do we? We don't want to say that. So remember to put the I in, because you don't want to be saying something that you didn't mean to say in the first place. So pido, pides, pide. Remember, nosotros form stays the same. Pedimos, pedís. Also stay the same. We don't change it to an I. And piden. Okay? So excepting the first person plural and the second person plural, nosotros and vosotros, all the others will change, okay? Right, so now with the E verbs, the verbs that have E and they change to IE, I've given you an example which is mentir. Mentir is to lie, to tell a lie, to lie, okay? So we'll change the E to an IE. So instead of saying mento, if you didn't change it, it would just sound like mento. I lie, and no one would know what you're saying. Okay? So you do need to make sure that you are changing the roots. So, you see here? You can see the change. Miento. Instead of mento, miento. Mientes. You lie. Mientes. He or she lies. Miente. Okay? As again I said, the second person plural, mentimos. It doesn't change. Nor does the second person plural, mentís. And for them, ellos or ellas, plural, okay? Ellos, they, mienten. Again, that changes. I apologize for that noise. Okay, so remember, there are verbs that have a E in the root, we change it to an IE. For example, mentir. Miento todos los días. I lie every day. I take that back. No miento nunca. I never lie. And then you have O verbs that change to UE, like poder, to be able to. Okay, can, to be able to. Yo puedo hacer de todo. I can do everything. Nosotros no podemos. Podemos stays the same. We can't. No podemos. So key that I want you to walk away with today, guys. The second person plural, nosotros, doesn't change. The root doesn't change. The O remains the same. Okay? And this is for all of the roots, all three. Okay? Right. Podemos, podéis, pueden. And the IR, the E that changes to I, pedir. So now I want to give you 5 for each of the stems, so you'll have these examples, mostly because these are very popular words that you will see. So it's good for you to have a vocab bank that you can reflect upon and say, well, yeah, have a mental image. These words follow these words, this rule. These words are verb stem changing verbs. Okay, so let's have a look. So for the E, the verbs that change their E to IE, we have a very common verb which is comenzar, which is to begin. Example. Comienza el curso ya. The course is beginning now. So comenzar, which is one of the verbs on your list. Entender, to understand. No entiendo nada. It wouldn't be no entiendo. That sounds like Nintendo. No, that's the game, guys. That's the game. No entiendo. I.e., entiendo, remember, which is to comprehend, to understand. Confesar, confess, it would be confieso. I confess. Confieso. The I.e., confieso. Negar. Negar, I like this verb. To deny. So, negar. Niego. Niegues. Okay? Niegues. No niegas la verdad. Niego eso. Lo niego. I deny it. Lo niego. Not nego. Sounds so odd when you don't change it. Your own brain after a while will let you know that sounds odd, and so you won't do it. But this is just, when we're starting, it takes a while, and we need these these pictures so it stays there. Okay, so it stays as a picture. Take a picture and remember. Okay, fregar, which is to clean or to wash. So you say, I wash the dishes. If you're talking about washing the dishes, this is the clean that you would use instead of limpiar. So fregar. Okay, friego. Friego, I will put a I there, friego, fregar, okay, good. So these are your 5 verbs that change the E to an IE when you conjugate, okay, right. Then I've got here some words that that have O in their root, there you go, and you change to a UE. So the first one is soler. Soler is when you usually do something, okay? It's usually, you usually do something. So for example, suelo ir, okay? So it'd be suelo ir. I normally go to the shop. Suelo ir a la tienda. Suelo ir. I normally go, okay? Suelo is a verb that we use to express something that you do often or you normally do, okay? Or no suelo ir al mercado. I don't normally go to the market, okay? De soler. Encontrar, which is to find. Example. Encuentras. ¿Lo encuentras? ¿Lo encuentras? ¿Lo encuentras? Do you find it? Did you find it? Encuentras. The O-U-E. Soñar, to dream. Who doesn't like to dream? Sueño. Sueño contigo. Okay? Sueño contigo. I dream about you. Sueño. See? Sueño contigo. I dream about you. And that's something I need to add in. We say to dream about someone. In Spanish, they say soñar con. So the adjective, what is it? Can't think. The preposition is not with. It's not about. It's with. Cloudy minds today. Okay. Soñar con, and we say to dream about. I dream about you. They would say sueño contigo. Okay. Right. Okay. Volver is to return. We would say vuelvo. Morir, to die. Me muero de las ganas de ir a Jamaica. Okay, I am dying to go to Jamaica. Muero, okay? Muero. I put a lot of stress on my singular R's. I need to stop doing that. Okay, so the next one, before I took the minutes off, the E's to I, stem change. For example, I have conseguir, reír, impedir, corregir, and seguir. So, conseguir is to get something, to manage to get something. And conseguir. No consigo entender. I can't manage to, I can't quite understand. Consigo, to get something. Reír, to laugh. Me río en tu cara. I'm laughing in your face. Me río. Okay? Impedir, impido. To stop something, to impede something, to stop something, to avoid something happening. Impedir. Corregir is to correct. Corrijo. Okay, and say here, sigo. Okay, sigo, to follow. Yes, so that is it for your lesson on stem changing verbs. And I hope that these 15 verbs will become a part of your vocab bank and that you will not have any problems in the future when it comes to conjugating these verbs. Until next time, guys, I have to run. So, hasta pronto. Okay? Take care.